You know, there was a moment, a very brief, fragile moment, when the world tried to do something radically good. I'm Josh, this is Ring of Fire Weekends. And that radically good idea, tax billionaires. The idea was simple. It wasn't revolutionary, it wasn't socialism, it was just basic math. If a massive, multi-international corporation can make money everywhere, then they should pay taxes somewhere. And not just in a mailbox somewhere in Ireland or a shell company in the Cayman Islands. So over 130 countries agreed to a global minimum corporate tax. And it was all proposed by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. 15%. That's not enough to dry out the pitchforks at all. And then Donald Trump in the United States said, great idea. We're exempt. Explicitly. Under Trump, US-based multi-international companies received carve-outs that allow them to sidestep the global deal entirely. Meanwhile, the rest of the world wants to play by the rules. American giants, optional participation, which means that the world's biggest companies, Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, the companies that already pay armies of lawyers to avoid taxes, now have Daddy Trump's official permission to keep dodging their taxes. And the justification? Competitiveness, which is a polite way of saying our corporations are too powerful to inconvenience and we don't want anyone else joining our club. Small businesses be damned, innovation be damned. This is about protecting profit margins that were already obscene. We know that. And while regular Americans are getting audited over Venmo payments and simple bank errors, multi-international corporations are shifting billions of dollars across borders with a wink and a handshake, and they don't pay a dime in taxes. Because this is typical GOP nonsense that says government is bad, unless it's helping our donors. Regulation is tyranny, unless it's shielding corporate profits. Taxes are theft, unless they're paid by somebody else. Trickle-down economics. But please, please don't let it trickle down to those people. What makes this worse is timing. This carve-out is happening right in the middle of a time in our country where public services are being slashed. Infrastructure funding has stalled completely. Education and healthcare are treated like luxuries instead of investments. We're told that there's no money. Of course, unless you're ICE or the Department of Defense. We've got to pay for Hegseth's makeup room somehow. And somehow there's always room for tax exemptions for companies that made record profits during global crises. Other countries, they're losing revenue. Developing nations, they're getting squeezed. And the entire system becomes even more tilted right towards those wealthiest companies. The US didn't just opt out of the tax deal, it kneecapped the entire global concept. Because when the largest economy on earth refuses to participate, everyone else has to decide whether they need to compete downward or watch capital go right out the window. So the race to the bottom continues. And here's the not so quiet part about all of this. Trump's donors, they're the ones benefiting the most. It's the tech CEOs, the hedge funds, the multi-internationals with complex international footprints. These are the same people that are funding campaigns, attending fundraisers, making deals for Venezuelan oil, and whispering policy preferences behind closed doors. Or hell, right out in public. Because Trump, he doesn't care about that anymore. Trump and his pals keep getting richer. And when critics are pointing this out, the response is always the same. We're going to lose jobs. They're just going to leave. They're going to stop investing. They're going to take all of their jobs and their production with them. Which is fascinating because apparently the richest companies on earth are also the most fragile. They're so fragile that asking them to pay a minimum tax rate, the same tax rate as everyone else, would cause economic chaos and collapse. It is absolute nonsense. What this is really showing us is priority. When we're forced to choose between global cooperation and donor comfort, we see Trump choose the donors. When forced to choose between public revenue and private profit, Trump chooses profit. And when he is is forced to choose between fairness and loyalty, you know that he always chooses loyalty. Because that's the through line of all of this. It's just a very expensive promise. If you're rich enough, the rules don't matter and they're negotiable. And everyone else, like us, will keep picking up the tab. Doesn't it seem like our feeds are getting filled with more and more BS right-wing MAGA content? It's no secret that all these top tech bros are in love with the current regime, so it's no surprise that independent left-leaning media is being squashed by the algorithm. If you like our content and content like us, it doesn't take long to click that thumbs up, share, comment, or subscribe. So please help us keep the truth alive.